Welcome to Best Voice Narrative. Today we're going to be starting a journey on the understanding of word stress in the English language. If anything, this is going to be an interesting class. So you have to do everything you can to be a part of this journey all the way through. Right. This is actually going to be an introductory class in that our focus today will be to look at the meaning of stress as well as the keywords, the key terminologies you are to grapple with, you are to understand, you are to come to terms with as we embark on this journey. So let's get to it. So first of all, what is stress? Stress is the extra effort, the extra energy that you place or that is placed on the syllable of a word or on the syllables of a word. Stress is the extra energy, the extra emphasis that you place on different syllables of a word as you articulate the word. Are we clear with that? So simply, if you say something, as I'm talking to you right now, I'm using stress in the articulation, in the pronunciation of my words. So the extra effort, the force, the energy, the power, the vocal power that you place on the syllables in a word is what you call stress. In other words, we can define stress as the degree of loudness that is given or that is placed on syllables of a word. Is that clear? So, for example, if I say intricate, in the word intricate, before I get into the intricate part of this class, intricate, intricate, intricate. In the word intricate, you notice that there is so much energy, so much extra force on intricate, mi, re, do, mi, re, do. So you see that on the first level, we have so much power, so much energy, so much attention, so much emphasis that is placed on intricate. If I say, come on, I don't want to digress. I don't want to digress. Don't me digress. So when you speak, the energy, the extra attention that is given to a particular syllable or to syllables in a word is what a stress is. Stress. You have to stress yourself. You have to inconvenience yourself to be able to achieve a stress or stressing in the English language. So I did say that stress is the extra energy, the extra effort, the extra force, vocal force that is placed on syllables of a word. That is the primary definition of stress. And of course, for students looking to take exams, you might not bother yourself with the definition of stress. But of course, you have to pay close attention to this subsequent part we want to look at. In that, we want to talk about the key words, the key terminologies you have to grapple with as we continue on this journey. So, when we talk about stress, we have 3 degrees of stress in the English language. Primarily, first of all, we have what is called the primary stress, which is the first degree. We have the secondary stress degree, and then we have the weakly stressed syllable degree. First, the primary stress. Second, we have the secondary stress. And then number 3, we have the weakly stressed syllable. Before we come to all of this, what is a syllable? A syllable is the smallest unit of a word that can be produced, that can be articulated, that can be said with a single breath pause. Let me give an example before I take that again. Look at this word, let's say intricate, the word intricate. Intricate. This is a single word, right? In this word, the smallest part of this word, the smallest unit of this word is called a syllable. A syllable is the smallest part of a word that you can produce with a single breath pause. Look at, if I say in, okay, that's a syllable. Intricate. Intricate. This word has 3 syllables. 1, this is 1. 3 is number 2. Kate is number 3. So the smallest part of a word that can be produced with a single breath pause is what a syllable is. Remember that a word is a combination of syllables. Words themselves are combinations of morphemes. We have morphemes becoming words. We have morphemes becoming syllables. You have syllables becoming words. You have words becoming phrases. You have phrases becoming clauses. And you have clauses becoming sentences. That's on the other grammatical landscape, but we don't care about that. So if you hear me say syllables, 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 as we continue in this journey, remember that a syllable is the smallest unit of the word that you can articulate, that you can produce with a single breath pause. If I say father, father, that word has two syllables, father. So with this as an example, you understand that you realize that the smallest part of this word, the smallest unit of this word is what a syllable is. If I say gather, okay, let's use this example. If I say educational, educational, and that's the first syllable, the smallest unit of the word that you can produce with a single breath pause. Educate, education, educational, educational. So educational. How many syllables do I have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Educational. So that is that about what a syllable is. A syllable is the smallest part of the word, the smallest unit of the word that you can produce with a single breath pause. So already we've understood what a stress is. And number two, we've understood what a syllable is. Now, I was saying before that we have 3 degrees of stress placements in the English language. First, we have what is called the primary stress. You have the secondary stress, and then you have the weakly stressed syllable. Now, for the sake of students looking to take exams and just random English speakers, our focus is going to be on the primary stress because actually this is the most important aspect of stressing or stress placement in the English language that you have to understand, that you have to master. The others are important, but not very important because as I speak right now, all that is making the difference is their attention to the primary stress. So we have 3 degrees of stress placement. We have the primary stress, we have the secondary, and you have the third. But we don't care about the secondary. We don't care about the medium. Our attention is actually on the primary stress placement. So that is that about that. Already, we've understood the meaning of stress. Number two, we've talked about the definition or the meaning of syllables in the English language. Number three, we've talked about the levels of stress placements in the English language. I said are 3, the primary, secondary, and the weakly stressed syllable. Now, let us understand the types of syllables according to stress placement. The types of syllables. Give a sec, please. The types of syllables. Primarily, we're going to be talking about 3 types of syllables according to stress placement in the English language. 3 types of syllables. First, we have what is called monosyllabic words. 2, we have what is called disyllabic words. Number 3, we have what is called polysyllabic words. Now, let's start with mono. Mono in the English language simply means one. Mono simply means one. A monosyllabic word is a word that has just one syllable, not 2, just one syllable. An example is Ben. The word Ben is a monosyllabic word. If I say goat, a goat, what are we talking about? We're talking about a goat. A goat is a monosyllabic word. Phone is another example. Phone. Give me my mobile device. My telephone. Phone. The word phone is a monosyllabic word. If I say stone, he wants to stone me. The word stone is a monosyllabic word. So when you pronounce a word and the word only has one syllable, you call the word a monosyllabic word. Are we clear with that? Dad, mom, cup, jug, So all of these are just examples of monosyllabic words. So as we proceed in this class, maybe in the subsequent videos and you hear me mention these words, remember I'm talking about them now. The monosyllabic words are words that have a single syllable. So we have number 2, disyllabic word. Disyllabic words. Di in the English language simply means 2. So a disyllabic word is a word that has just two syllables. An example is father, mother, pastor, give, digress, export, export. So all of these are just examples of, die. And again, I should mention that another word for disyllabic is actually bisyllabic. If you don't want to say disyllabic, you simply say bisyllabic, like bicycle. If you hear the word bi in the English language, bi, we're talking about two. When you hear die as a substitute for bi, you're still talking about two. So examples of disyllabic words, as I've mentioned before, your mother, your father, you have repent, demand, just two syllables, demand, repent, mother, father, paper. All of these are examples of bisyllabic words or disyllabic words. Remember, another word or another name for disyllabic word is bisyllabic word. Another name for bisyllabic word is disyllabic. You can use them interchangeably. And finally, we have polysyllabic words. Poly simply means multiple. Poly simply means many, more than two, more than one. So we're talking about 3 syllabic words, 4 syllabic words, 5 syllabic words, 6 syllabic words. So words that have multiple syllables. All of these terms are pretty very important in the understanding of word stress placement in the English language. So poly simply means many. And like I said before, we have the word education. Education. How many syllables are there? We have 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Am I still within frame? Let me check. Yes, I'm still within frame. So we have enumerate. Enumerate. This is another example. Enumerate. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 4 syllables there. Now, if you look at the word interdenomination, so in is 1, ter is 2. Let's count together. We have 1, in, ter, 2, d, 3, no, 4, me, 5, nay, 6, shun, 7. So the word interdenomination has 7 syllables. So remember that these are just the primary or the basic types of syllables when we talk about stress placements in the English language. The first is the monosyllabic words, we have the disyllabic words, we have the polysyllabic words. And I said mono simply means one. A word with a single syllable is known as monosyllabic word. Disyllabic words, they have 2. Polysyllabic words have multiple syllables. Beginning from 3, you have 4, you have 5, you have 6, and so on and so forth. So we're going to be wrapping this up pretty soon. Remember, this is just an introduction into stress placement in the English language. Number 1, we've talked about the meaning of stress in the English language. Okay? Number 2, we've talked about the meaning of syllables in the English language. Number 3, we've talked about the degree of stress placement. And I said we have 3 of them, the primary, the secondary, and then you have the weakly stressed syllable. And number 4, we've talked about the types of syllables in the English language. Now, let's understand this before we go. If you hear the word penultimate, I'm going to be using this word frequently as we continue on this journey. Now, the word penultimate simply means second, second from the last syllable. Every time you hear me use this, every time you hear me use this word penultimate, know that each time I talk about it, what it means is the second syllable from the end of the word, the second syllable from the last one. So let's have an example. Identify the penultimate syllable in this word. Interrogate. Now look at this word interrogate. The first syllable is what? We'll start counting from here. Sometimes you feel like you might want to count from the end. You feel like you want to count from the front. But most of the time, when it comes to stress placement, we'll start counting from the back. So in is 1, ter is 2, row 3, gate 4. interrogate. Actually, the stress is here, is on inter. We don't care about that for now. Now, look at what is the last syllable? The last syllable is gate. Gate is the last syllable. Now, what's the penultimate syllable? This is it. Row. The second syllable from the back. So one, two. This is the end of the word. Gate is the last syllable in this word, and the one before it is row. So when I say penultimate syllable, the row here, this syllable is the penultimate syllable. So most of the time, when we talk about rules of stress placement, we'll start counting from the end. So if you start from here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, what's the penultimate syllable? The penultimate syllable is the second syllable from the end of the word. The second from the end of the word. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. Are we clear? So this is the end of the word. This is not the end of the word. This is the starting of the word interrogate. Are we clear with that? So please remember, when you hear me mention the word penultimate, know that I'm talking about the second syllable from the end of the word. Which do we still have to talk about? So if you hear the word sure, do I have to talk about that? Okay, let's say you have the word sure. Sure, if you hear me mention the word sure, sure. So sure is simply talking about or referring to the 12th vowel in the English language. That is, this is the short sound. This is a short sound. And usually the short sound is actually realized primarily by words ending in ER, OR, and most of the time, words that begin with the R sound. Not always, not always. I mean, not all the time, not all the time. Some of the words that begin with R, some of the words, for example, in the word again, again, the R here is a short sound. In the word alone, don't come here alone. This word alone, the R here, the A here, this sound is actually the short sound. In the word doctor, the OR at the end of the word is a short sound. Now in the word father, the ER at the end is a short sound, but that's not really much of a big deal anyways. But just focus on understanding what penultimate is, understand what bisyllabic, monosyllabic, polysyllabic is, and then you understand primary stress. Primary stress, and of course the definition and what a syllable is. So that's pretty much what this introduction class is about. So as we continue on this journey, I hope that you won't be confused at any point when I mention words such as penultimate. I mentioned the word monosyllabic, disyllabic or bisyllabic, polysyllabic, stress. So that'll be basically for this introductory class. I have to see you in the next because there's a lot to unravel on this topic. Keep learning right, keep writing right. See you next time. Bye for now.